Hi, everyone. Just wanted to share this video with you. This is about the Paris Peace Conference. Just hoping to try to continue to get some of this, as much of this content knocked out as possible. So this is just to be looked at after we finish up our the actual fighting of the war, the Paris Peace Conference. So the first thing you want to understand is that President Wilson wanted the peace to be fair. Thinking back to the start, the Serbian government kind of allowed the assassination to take place of the Archduke from Austria-Hungary. And if you think about the way this thing played out, Russia backed up Serbia, France and Britain backed up Russia, and we joined the same side. So if you think about the whole origin of this war, we were on the side of the assassins. And so Wilson understands that and realizes that to make a fair world after the war is over, the peace setup should also be fair. Unfortunately, the British and French didn't see it that way. They wanted spoils. Basically, they wanted Germany to pay for the war. In many cases, back in those days, the losing country would be forced to pay the winning country back for the war. And so that's exactly what Britain and France wanted to see happen. One of the things that President Wilson thought might be a way to help maintain peace in the future after World War I was by an international peacekeeping organization called the League of Nations. This was supposed to be a setup where nations would enter together to ensure security and peace and try to make sure that that future wars didn't happen and that conflicts could be resolved peacefully. They also decided that an attack on one would be the same as an attack on all, and hoping that maybe the threat of massive military intervention might persuade countries not to engage in senseless sort of attacks on each other. U.S. Senate opposed this. Many felt that we should go back to isolationism, pure isolationism as foreign policy in the years after World War I, especially seeing the carnage that the war was. They called World War I the war to end all wars. And a lot of folks in the U.S. Senate just did not want to see us enter into any foreign agreements because just wanted to avoid what was happening in the rest of the world altogether. So eventually the peace treaty is called the Treaty of Versailles. Again, the French wanted harsh penalties and security against Germany. In one sense, you can kind of see the French viewpoint on this. The French have been attacked. That was the second time in 40 years the French were attacked by Germany. And it wouldn't be the last. Less than 20 years after this is over, we're going to see Germany, the Nazi Germany this time, once again attacks France. So you can kind of see France's standpoint about wanting some guarantees in terms of security, but the way they went about it was totally incorrect. Like I said earlier in the PowerPoint, reparations payments for war damages winds up being $33 billion. And the amazing thing, Germany kept making these payments until about 9 years ago. I never knew this until I was teaching a current events class back in, I think it was 2011, 2012, somewhere in there, when they said Germany finally made its final reparations payment from World War I. Had no idea they were still actually paying those reparations payments. Anyways, the Treaty of Versailles also creates some new nations, Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia in particular. Czechoslovakia is now called the Czech Republic. Yugoslavia is made up of some other smaller Balkan countries like Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina. So anyways, those two countries were created. And also a place called Danzig, which is known as the Polish corridor. They wanted to make sure that Poland had a warm water port. And so basically they sent a little corridor right up through the German territory to give Poland, as well as some other countries, access to a warm water port. Germany also lost territory. This actually shows you some of the territory Germany lost during in the battle, the Treaty of Versailles. The line in the red there shows 3 areas that Germany lost territory. Here's a map of Europe as of 1919 after the Versailles Treaty. You can see, again, Czechoslovakia is set up here. Again, it takes a big chunk out of German territory. The Austro-Hungarian Empire becomes Austria, Hungary, and Yugoslavia. Poland also is given territory once again. All right, so the Treaty of Versailles is signed in May of 1919 by everybody except America. Some Americans object to the League of Nations. Again, like I said before, a lot of American folks wanted to see the U.S. maintain isolation as a foreign policy and felt that because of that, we should not join the League of Nations. So it's interesting. Wilson basically invented the League of Nations. He wants to convince America that we have to join it. Couldn't convince Congress. Congress wouldn't pass a bill. So Wilson's idea is pretty good, actually. He went on a speaking tour around the country trying to convince the people of America to support the League of Nations. The thought being, if American citizens put pressure on their representatives in Congress to approve the League of Nations, that threat of voting them out of office might be enough to persuade them to vote in favor of it. Unfortunately, President Wilson suffered a stroke in September and was partially paralyzed, thus ending his speaking tour and ending any chance the League of Nations had of being approved by us here in America. Matter of fact, some people think he was pretty much bedridden for the next 6 to 8 months. A lot of folks think that his wife, Edith, was actually running the country. In those days, the media was nowhere near as intrusive as it is nowadays. There wasn't social media at all back then. And so things just kind of went on with President Wilson being, quote unquote, sick and bedridden. But still, the business of government went on forward as it should. And so some folks think that she was actually making some decisions and saying it was him. There's a picture of Wilson and his wife. So again, the Senate refused to ratify the treaty. So we were technically at war with Germany, even though no shots were being fired or no soldiers were involved, until we signed a separate peace in 1921. All right, so anyways, just so we understand this, I will also post this PowerPoint in the PowerPoint section of your Google Classroom. I just wanted to, again, try to keep us moving here as far as getting through all the class material. So if anybody needs to look at this again, check this out. You can pause it if you want to look at any of this stuff more in particular. But anyways, I hope you learned something from this. This is basically how World War I ends. And the Versailles Treaty is important, not only because it ended the World War I, but we're going to see down the road how this treaty devastates Germany's economy, leading to eventually they got so desperate the Nazis were put in charge, and they obviously wound up regaining German control, making them very powerful, and that led to a lot of bad things for World War II, obviously. So certainly the Treaty of Versailles plays a big role in the war going forward. Thanks for your attention. Have a good day.